Welcome to Kingdom Mothers Rise Up, where I encourage and equip you to heal your heart and renew your mind so you can live the fully abundant life Jesus promised you. Let's go. It's time to move. 4 signs of a wise woman. I want to talk to you today about a story from 2 Samuel. And this woman doesn't have a name in scripture, but I call her the wise woman of Abel. So I want to share the story of this wise woman from Abel Beth-maachah. And her story is in 2 Samuel 20. We'll start in verse 16. So before this, there's someone who has been causing problems for David, and he is fleeing, and Joab is after him, and he flees to this city of Abel Beth-maachah. And they build a battering ram, and they built a ramp up against the wall to bring down the wall of the city because they were going to get this guy that has been, I don't remember now, whatever he did against King David. So they're going to break down the wall of the city to get this guy. But a wise woman from the city calls out and says, "Listen, tell Joab to come here so I can speak to him." And she says, "Long ago it used to be said, 'Get your answer at Abel,' and that settled it. We are peaceful and faithful in Israel. You are trying to destroy a city that is a mother in Israel. Why do you want to swallow up the Lord's inheritance?" That was 2 Samuel 20:18. So Joab is like, "No, that's not what I want to do. I just need this man Sheba, son of Bichri. I don't know. Because he has lifted his hand against the king. So hand over this one man and we'll leave your city alone." So the woman says, "His head will be thrown to you over the wall." So the woman went to the people of her city, and they cut off the head of this man and threw it to Joab. So he sounded his trumpets, and they dispersed from the city and went home. So I first read this story years ago and made these notes about, like, what does it look like to be a wise woman? Because here there's an entire, like, regiment of the army or whatever. There was enough men that they had built a ramp up against the wall, and they had the battering ram, and they're ready to knock a hole in the wall to get this guy. And one woman stands up and says, "I know who we are. I know the heritage of my city. I know what we're here for. I know what we're known for. I know we don't deserve to have this destruction of our city." I guess we could presume that she was praying while they're building the ramp and getting their battering ram and whatever. But so the first thing is to speak up and say, "What's going on here?" And, like, this is my city. So what's going on here? This is my house. These are my kids. This is my business. This is my church, whatever. Like, what's going on here? To know, like, who are we? She's like, "We're known as a place of wisdom." Like, people would be like, go to Abel. That's where you're going to find the wisdom you need. Go to Abel. And she says, "We're peaceful and we're faithful, and we're a city that is a mother in Israel." Wisdom and peace and faithfulness, like, it's a nurturing place. She's like, that's who we are. So we don't deserve this kind of violence. Like, I'm not going to stand for it because that's not who we are. We've done nothing to deserve this. So Joab is like, "Oh, okay, that's, if you're willing to cooperate," which part of me is like, why did they not have this conversation before? But, the Bible doesn't tell us why they didn't have that conversation. If it was just Joab was in pursuit mode and it didn't occur to him to stop and see if the people of the city would hand this guy over, we don't know why. But when he says why he's there and what they need, she's like, "Okay, you'll have his head because he clearly doesn't fit with what we're doing here. We're faithful. And if he's against the king, then he doesn't fit with us. And so if you need him, you'll have him." So she was decisive in knowing, this is who we are. This doesn't fit with who we are. So I can decide on a plan of action. I don't have to second guess or go get 15 different opinions or see what all these people think. I can just say, if this man is against the king and he's trying to hide here, I'm not okay with that. And then we can see that she was respected because she went back to her city and she said her advice, like, we need to cut this guy's head off and give it to Joab to prove that we're not harboring him, that he's taken care of. The people listened to her. So by being wise and being willing to speak up against things that weren't good for them, she gained that respect. So when she spoke and said, here's what we need to do, they listened, they followed through. And I think that's a most important part of being a kingdom mother that is rising up, is to be rising up in that wisdom and respect, that faithfulness, that peace. Not that you have to be like a calm, mellow person all the time, but you have a peace where people know you're not making rash decisions. They know you're not swinging back and forth between opinions and emotions. You're solid. When you say, this is what we need to do, they're like, okay, that's what we need to do. And they'll follow through with that action, whether that's your children or if you're leading a ministry, if it's in a group of friends, if it's in business, if you're called to politics, wherever it is. But to have that reputation, when you speak up, people listen, because here, like, Joab didn't have to listen to her when she was like, hey, stop and talk to me. Like, you're just an old woman. And I don't know if she's old, but she's a wise woman, is how she's described in, what version am I in? The NIV. Like, women weren't greatly respected in the Hebrew culture. So he didn't need to listen to her. He could have just been like, I'm on a mission and I don't need to stop and talk to you because I'm on the king's work. But he respected her and he did stop and listen. And then the people around her also listened when she said, this is what we need to do. And that comes from growing in wisdom, from standing in that identity of peaceful and faithful and being a mother, like that mama bear. Like, this is not okay. You punching a hole in the wall of my city is not okay with me. We're all called right now in different areas, in different ways, and at different times to do the same thing, to stand up and say, not on my watch. I have authority here. This is mine, and you are not doing this. So I encourage you to press into that and let's rise up. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Kingdom Mothers Rise Up podcast. I'm blessed to have you here. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can join us in the Kingdom Mothers Rise Up Facebook community. When you're ready for more support, I have the Heart Doodling with Jesus monthly membership, periodic group coaching, and one-on-one personalized coaching as well. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.